Hey everyone, Negligent here. Welcome to Gilded Reviews. Today I just wanted to talk about virtual reality, and more specifically, the HTC Vive. Virtual reality was everywhere a year ago. People were losing their minds, even spending thousands of dollars to set up systems within their home. But was it all worth the hype, or did we fall for yet another expensive home 3D entertainment system? Many experts agree that the outlook is grim. But all may not be lost, with Skyrim, Fallout 4, and Doom all being brought into the virtual reality realm by a longtime industry heavyweight, Bethesda Studios. With these outstanding titles, some people believe that VR is just getting started, while others think it is a fad that has already begun phasing itself out. So let's go ahead and take a deeper look at virtual reality, starting with the physical barriers preventing it from really taking off. VR suffers from some serious hardware limitations, ranging from bulky heavy equipment to setups that require the user to surrender a good amount of his or her free space. It's also not the most elegant device, with a long inch-thick cord that pulls down at the back of the head. Let's just say wearing it does not bring much comfort. While the installation of the device usually only needs to occur once every few years, if that, it still can be a frustrating experience. The Oculus Rift is easier than the Vive, but both require a little more work than anyone would like. The main problem isn't the installation, it's in the play area having to be clear. When I first got my Vive, I figured I would just leave that area clear all the time. That doesn't happen. Every time I want to play the Vive, I have to move a couch or an ottoman, sometimes even a light. It really just makes me personally not want to play. After I move everything, I have the energy to play one game at most. Even setting up for Elite Dangerous is a pain. Getting the headset out, hooking up my HOTAS setup, and starting the software can take up to 15 minutes. Especially if I have to restart my computer. It just is time lost when you could be enjoying the world of Rivellon and Divinity Original Sin 2. Regardless of what people say, VR will get daunting to be in after a while. It just manages to strain your brain in a way that makes you feel sick, especially after multiple hours in the headset. In my life, I have personally never had motion sickness, at least until I played Incel. Granted, it doesn't happen often, but some games just hit that nausea nerve and will inhibit your ability to play for a short while. The main reason people experience nausea in virtual reality has to do with the movement style. There are two main types of movement right now, locomotion and teleportation. Locomotion feels more realistic than teleportation and does really feel like the proper way to experience most of the games. This is where you use the controller or some other method to move forward as if you were walking. Unfortunately, it comes with a massive amount of nausea-related incidents. Many, including myself, feel that this is mostly on the developer's end. I have played a lot of games where the nausea is non-existent, and some where you can feel it as soon as you load into the game. Games like Onward have managed to make it work, which is a great sign for the future. Teleportation, on the other hand, completely negates that nausea, but also messes with the entire experience, removing you completely from the immersion. A lot of people have a problem with teleportation. I personally don't mind it. I hate walking everywhere in games, so the teleportation just makes everything better from my view. I do see the issue when you're playing a multiplayer game or a shooter, where you can easily dodge people by teleporting away, but many games have limitations on this, like a cooldown on teleport. The entry cost of VR has drastically dropped over the course of the last year. Not only are the headsets cheaper across the board, but the computers needed to push the headsets have come down as well. This is definitely a factor though. It will still run over $1,000 to get a fully functional system that can run everything. A lot of people just don't want to spend that kind of money, especially with the current content that is available. Sony had a much better plan when it came to their device. Although the device itself was still pricey, it was not nearly as costly as its computer counterparts. It also, being an attachment on a console, made things much easier. Not all computers are created equal, and that usually ends up costing the user more money. Even though the Vive and Oculus had better internal components and a more powerful platform, PlayStation VR has overshadowed both PC headsets on overall sales. This, I'm sure, has to do with the cost. Even at the new price point, the masses overall still haven't really invested in virtual reality. But why? Let's take a look at the current content that is available after being on the market for just over a year. The content just seems to be lacking. They just don't have that one console, or in this case hardware, selling game, leaving a lot of consumers questioning why to even buy one. The games are not bad. In fact, some of the best experiences I have ever had from a video game have come from VR. I think it is that the games themselves all still feel really gimmicky, and not in a, oh look what I can do, isn't this cool way, but more in a, here is a 10-minute minigame or waves of guys to defeat kind of way, which inherently isn't bad. It is just short and can get old really quickly. It also doesn't seem to be what people really want from virtual reality. There are, of course, some standout titles like Elite Dangerous, where I myself have put in over 200 hours. These seated experiences are extremely hard to find, and that is a problem. This is really my personal preference, but for me, when I play games, I want to sit down and relax. Being in a full 3D virtual world just makes that experience better. Of course, some games are phenomenal, even though they make me get up and walk around. Google's Tilt Brush and Valve's The Lab are both great titles that remain at the top of the recommended list. Also, let's not forget about Rec Room, which is an entirely online experience that really shows you what VR can do. But even these titles suffer from getting boring too quickly. The entire experience seems more like an arcade than something that would be in your house. When they brought games from arcade cabinets to a console, they adapted the game to fit a new medium that was easier for household use. Not that I could figure out a way to do this, the entire experience is within the headset, but they could have waited at least until it was a little more accessible. Lighter headsets, better resolution, no screen door effect, a better price point, maybe even wireless. It just seems like there is a lot of room for improvement, and that these are more prototypes that were pushed to market way too early. The issues I feel that virtual reality is having stem from the developers. Don't take me the wrong way, I don't think they're doing a bad job. The problem is that there are not enough devices out in the wild to justify putting seasoned and big developers on projects involving VR. For instance, Rec Room, one of the highest rated and most recommended titles for VR, only has 293 concurrent players. Oh, by the way, this game is 100% free, so the lack of players is even more telling. This information was gathered from Steam charts, so anyone playing through a different device would not have been counted. Still, this is a major issue because proper VR development takes a lot of time, effort, and money. So having a small community can cause issues when developers look at the potential sales of their game. So in my opinion, virtual reality, in order to stay afloat, really needs a big developer to foot the bill, so to speak, and put a lot of money into a game that will get people to buy headsets. That's really where Bethesda comes into play. Bethesda Studios announced pretty early on that they were working on a Fallout 4 and Skyrim in VR. They're supposed to be released before the end of this year, and it is huge news for the virtual reality community. These titles have the potential to fill that gap, bringing a major AAA title to the scene. Or they could fail miserably, effectively sealing VR's fate. I don't know much about either of these titles and have not played them myself. From what I have heard, the outlook is grim. I'm not sure about Fallout, but at least with Skyrim, the current Vive version is only using the teleportation system. This, as I said earlier, I personally could get over. But people have also reported bad AI. Having bad AI in a game like this would be breaking. The only thing left after you take out exploring is killing enemies, and if you get a better experience in Space Pirate Trainer, people are going to be pissed. I really hope this isn't the case. Bethesda should fix these issues and make the combat what it should be in a AAA title. In conclusion, I really don't think anyone is 100% sure what is going to happen with VR moving forward. I hope it's the next medium, but I unfortunately don't think that's going to happen. The current limitations on the hardware are driving too many consumers away for it to really take hold and convince bigger developers to put money into their VR departments. I feel like they made a huge mistake pushing the device out too early. If they would have just waited a few years to release the bigger PC headsets, the limitations would have been far less, creating a bigger market base for the developers. I hope I am wrong and Bethesda pulls this sinking ship out of the water, and the cost of admission continues to go down so we can all enjoy the golden age of VR together. Hey guys, thanks for watching. This was a new thing we wanted to try out for our channel to see how it went, so let us know in the comments. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and give us a thumbs up or click on our icon to subscribe. We release new content every few days.